Clovis is most famous for famously converting the Frankish Germanic tribes to Christianity, which he did so in 496. And why is this important in history? This is important in history because having all of Western Europe converted to Christianity under one God, it changes history for the future timeline. Yeah, the Franks were a group of Germanic tribes, and there are basically two major tribes: Silurians, Saline, Silurians. I think that's a Doctor Who monster. All right, so basically there are two groups of Franks: the Salians and the Riverines. And the Saline group were located along the Rhine River, which is modern-day France, I believe is correct, and became allies of Rome. All right, so Clovis was 15 or 16 when he came to power, or became king of the Salian people.
And the tribe was basically broke. In dire straits. They didn't have any food.
Right. I mean, we're coming out of, we're not even coming out of, we're actually still going through, a dark ages time. And where all the barbaric tribes have been, plundering and just sort of living off the land what they could. I mean,
sure.
And so by the time that Clovis came to power, his family, or not just his family, but his entire people were just destitute of nothingness. There was no grain surplus. There was no wine. I mean, there was no food.
And economically, that's interesting because the solution was basically violence. So attack your neighboring tribe and take their stuff.
Right. Because I mean, Walmart's not right down the road.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do.
And there's no money.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important because it's not even like they can turn to the church, because at this time they're still a pagan society.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't even have the help of the church. But that's all about to change here soon.
Do we know how old Clovis was when he married Clotilda?
No.
Okay.
I know it wasn't much longer. It wasn't much later after he came to power, actually. It wasn't too much later.
Okay.
It seems like. He ended up becoming, when he came to power, I think the tribe was basically just leaderless. They really hadn't had a leader like that. They needed someone who would realize the situation for what it is and how dire it was, and then sort of just take charge. And that's what Clovis did. But his personality, I mean, his characteristics, he had that, that stoic. He could be a leader, but brutal at the same time. That's sort of his.
What I'd studied is they said he knew when to be patient and he knew when to get to work, as it were.
Right. And I think that's important in a leader, especially if you're leading a bunch of barbarians.
Choose your fights.
Right. Yeah. You need someone who can just understand these people and just take a minute to breathe and then just execute justice when needed.
There we go. That's a polite way to say it.
Here we go. All right. But he did marry Clotilde, who was also known as Saint Clotilde. She lived from 475 to 545, and she was venerated as a saint by the Catholic Church. She worked really hard, and she pushed for her husband to convert to Christianity, and she worked endlessly until the day that he did, and then even afterwards. But they venerated her as a saint, but she was also known for her almsgiving and penitential works. Like, just really very pious woman, very humble woman, and always doing the works of God. So she I think without her, Clovis would not have converted to Christianity. I think she was essential to this conversion.
Okay, so even though his buddy on the battlefield asked him, which we'll talk about in a minute, said let's convert, it was her influence over the years.
Yes,
I
think
that led him to that moment where he would say yes.
Yes, because I do. If it had not been for her, I think he would have just blown it off, or without her, it wouldn't have happened.
Okay. and they had a lot of disagreement over the baptism of their first son.
They did. After they married, they did have their first son, and Clotilde, being the devout Catholic that she was, she wanted to baptize her son. Well, she did, and then shortly after, the boy died, and because the boy died, I should say boy, infant, really.
Yeah.
But because the baby died, Clovis was not too happy. He blamed this, this is your God's doing, blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't happy about that at all. And so
as expected from a pagan.
Exactly. Who would you blame? So by the time that Clotilde gets pregnant and has her second son, as a devout Catholic, she again wants to baptize this second boy. But of course, Clovis is dead against it. He doesn't want to do that because look what happened to the first boy.
Yeah.
So Clotilde has the boy baptized, but then he gets sick. And so Clovis tells Clotilde, this is your God's doing. Basically, because of your God, this child will die. Because that was the fate of our last son. And this is your God's doing. Well, I mean, that sounds terrible. But the good news is the boy did survive. He is cured. He does get better. And it's this little act of grace from God in sparing this child's life that Clovis, he's not as upset with Jesus Christ as he was before. It's not that he fell on his knee like, oh, yes, oh God, thank you, God, this is your doing. No, he just more inclined to, not disagree as much. No, I don't even like the way I said that. He was just
more understanding.
Yeah, more understanding. I guess he wouldn't just shrug Jesus Christ off every time he heard the name. He would just shrug it off and be like, oh gosh. Like he was just more accepting of it, people and its whole ordeal, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, the conversion.
Okay.
Clovis converted to Christianity in 496. 496. It says that the greater part of those cried out, we abjure the mortal gods. We are ready to follow the immortal God who beneath creature. And that's really interesting that by this time, before they were even done, converting him, the entire people were already behind him and backing him. Now, either A, that says that the people were already starting to convert to Christianity or accept Christianity.
And that may have been Clotilde as well.
Right, yeah, her influence too. That's right. Or it could just been that he was such a good leader that the people would back him no matter what.
Okay, I like that as well.
Yes. But why is this important? This is important because it changed the future of not only Western European history, but all of world history. Because this will go on in the future to start wars. Crusades will be fought over this religion. Christianity will be responsible. It will go on, especially with Western Europe. You'll have the Reformations, the Protestant Reformation, the whole split with the Catholic Church. This having an entire nation, a group of people, having them all convert to Christianity from paganism, and this is a really important fixed point of time in history to me, because this is where it all changes. It evolves, it switches over. We start a new beginning of history, and I think that's really the main idea to keep when discussing or studying Clovis. That's the important thing. This one thing in time changes all of history from here on out.
Interesting.
Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.